I've been going to Bengals camps on and off for years, but something about this one felt different from the moment I walked up to the gates at Paycor Stadium. You can sense it before you even sit down in the bleachers. The air feels charged, not just because of the late August humidity, but because everyone here knows this team isn't just playing for pride anymore. They're playing for a window that might not stay open forever. This isn't the sleepy training camp I remember from years past where you did hear more parents chatting in the stands than whistles on the field. No, this camp buzzes with urgency. Every snap feels like a test, every huddle like a moment of reckoning. And the man at the center of it all, of course, is Joe Burrow. From my seat near the 30-yard line, the first thing I noticed wasn't the sound of pads or the smacking of helmets. It was the way the crowd went quiet every time Burrow stepped under center. It's hard to explain unless you've been there. He has this gravity about him. When he jogs back onto the field, chin strap tugged tight, you stop mid-sentence and just watch. I'll admit, part of me flinched when he took that big hit in the preseason game earlier this month. You could feel the unease ripple through fans around me. A collective gasp followed by muttering about why on earth the coaches were letting him play that deep into a drive. One guy behind me even stood up and yelled, "What are we doing? That's Joe!" But Burrow popped right back up, adjusted his pads, and jogged to the sideline like nothing had happened. Later, when Zach Taylor defended giving him live game reps, I understood why. You can see how much sharper he looks when he's getting those reps now instead of waiting until week 1. He's in command, and his energy bleeds into everyone else. It's funny. You can measure Burrow's leadership without even looking at the stat sheet. Watch how the rookies hustle harder when he's on the field. Watch how receivers fight through their routes, how linemen brace themselves with just a little more edge. He sets the tone, and everyone else follows. Every camp has that one name people didn't come in knowing but leave buzzing about. This year it's Mitchell Tinsley. I first noticed him on a muggy Friday afternoon when he made a toe-tap catch in the corner of the end zone during red zone drills. The play itself was impressive, but what caught my attention was Burrow's reaction. He sprinted over, helmet smacking against Tinsley's as he shouted something I couldn't hear from my seat. You could just tell it was pure respect. The next week, when Tinsley caught 5 passes for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns in the preseason game against Washington, it wasn't a surprise anymore. People around me in the stands were already talking about him like he was a lock for the 53-man roster. What I love about Tinsley's story is that nothing about it is flashy. He's not the fastest guy out there, not the tallest. But watch closely, and you see why Burrow likes him so much. He runs crisp routes, finishes plays, and blocks like every snap matters. Taylor naming him a game captain in preseason said everything. That's not something coaches hand out lightly. Sitting there, I caught myself thinking, if the Bengals make another deep run this season, don't be surprised if people look back on this camp as the moment Mitchell Tinsley announced himself. Then there's the defense, which has been equal parts inspiring and nerve-wracking. One day during full-team drills, rookie Shamar Stewart got to Burrow in a way that made everyone, fans, coaches, teammates, tense up. Burrow went down harder than anyone wanted to see. You could feel the tension right there on the field. Ted Karras, ever the protective center, was the first to step in, and suddenly there were raised voices and finger-pointing. From where I sat, it looked like a classic rookie mistake, going too hard against the one player you can't touch. Still, as the session wore on, you couldn't ignore Stewart's motor. He was everywhere, forcing quick throws, collapsing pockets, even drawing double teams at times. That's camp in a nutshell. One moment you're holding your breath, hoping your franchise quarterback isn't hurt, and the next you were realizing that same collision is proof your rookie defensive lineman might be the real deal. Football's weird that way. Chris Jenkins has been just as disruptive, and Hendrickson is, well, Hendrickson, relentless as ever. Watching that front group, I couldn't help but think if they play like this when the games matter, opposing quarterbacks are in for a long season. As good as the defensive line has looked, it does make you wonder about the offensive line. I'll be honest, from my view in the stands, it's been a mixed bag. Some days Burrow has all the time in the world, standing tall and delivering strikes. Other days he's scrambling after his second step. The battle at right guard has been one of the most fascinating position fights to watch. Different guys rotate in, and you can almost see the staff straining to find someone who just takes the job and runs with it. So far, no clear winner, and that's the part that makes me nervous. Bengals fans have lived through enough shaky lines to know how dangerous that can be. You can build all the talent you want at wide receiver or defensive end, but if Burrow isn't standing upright, none of it matters. I found myself talking to a fan next to me, an older gentleman who's been coming to camp since the 90s. He shook his head at a busted protection and said, "Same story, different year." I laughed, but I knew exactly what he meant. It hasn't all been worry, though. Watching DJ Ivy has been a pleasant surprise. The kid has looked sticky in coverage, breaking up passes and sticking to receivers like glue. In one drill, he swatted a ball away intended for Jamar Chase, and you could hear the sideline erupt in approval. Then there was Barrett Carter's interception in team drills, the kind of instinctive athletic play that makes you believe the defense could be a takeaway machine if things click. The Bengals need that kind of energy in the back seven. Watching from my seat, I caught myself thinking, this might be the group that swings a close game in December with a timely pick or deflection. More than anything, this camp has felt intense, sometimes uncomfortably so. Players bark at each other after plays. Coaches are quick to step in when tempers flare. Even fans in the stands seem edgier than usual, muttering about contract situations or griping about depth chart battles. The T. Higgins situation hangs over everything, like a cloud you can't quite ignore. You hear it in the chatter around you. Will he stay? Will he go? Even when Higgins himself looks locked in on the field, everyone knows this might be his last ride in stripes. But if you want to see the heart of this camp, watch the veterans. Ted Karras pulling a rookie aside after a mistake. Jamar Chase coaching up younger receivers. Burrow gesturing for calm after Stewart's collision. There's a sense that the leaders know how fragile this all is, how important it is to harness this urgency without letting it splinter into chaos. Walking out of Paycor after another long practice, I found myself conflicted. On one hand, the Bengals look loaded, Burrow is sharp, Chase is Chase. The defensive front looks scary. A few young names like Tinsley and Ivy are emerging right before our eyes. On the other hand, the old worries remain. The offensive line is unsettled. Depth questions linger. Injuries feel like a threat lurking around every corner. But maybe that's just what August football is supposed to be. A mixture of hope and dread, optimism and unease. Maybe the very fact that we're all holding our breath is proof that the Bengals are once again in the conversation. What I do know is this, sitting in those stands, hearing the pads pop, watching Burrow command the huddle and rookies fight for their place, I couldn't shake the feeling that this team is on the cusp of something. Whether it's greatness or heartbreak, I can't say. But you don't leave this camp indifferent. You leave buzzing, anxious, and oddly grateful. Grateful to be watching a team that matters, a team with a shot, a team that makes late August feel electric. And that, for a Bengals fan, is a pretty good place to be.